Every morning night I pray, gotta make it out some way. Put a smile back on my mama's face. Yeah.
Recently we had something. Ex-coach of yours, Brian Flores.
Mm-hmm. It's my guy.
Yeah, and you guys tweeted out. Y'all share Twitter. You and your brother. Y'all tweeted out in support of Brian, and the NFL came out and said it was baseless.
Yeah. Then they changed it,
and I'm like, what?
They made another statement.
Oh, they made another statement.
That they made a statement. You know what I mean? Not supporting what he said, but making it known that they know they still have work to do when it comes to diversity and different things like that. I text Flo that night and was like, hey, man, let me know, like, any support you need, like, you know what I mean, reach out. And Flo, being Flo, texted me back. He was like, I just want you to tell the truth. Yeah. Tell the truth of what you know. Right. You know what I mean? Right. And I think that's what's so key because, like, for everybody else, this is like a big deal. Like, these conversations go on all the time. Like, we know the Rooney Rule. Like, we know. I mean, if you go over the last 2 years, you can pull up all the black coaches that get interviews. It's the same coaches. Yeah. It's one or two new ones every year.
They cycle.
But like Gerard Mayo, Mayo's gonna keep getting interviewed every year. Why? Because we got to fit the Rooney Rule. Like, we need a black coach, and we think he has head coach potential. But like, when they interview Mayo, they know, like, the Raiders knew they were going to hire Josh McDaniels already. Yeah. Like, the Broncos knew that they were going a different direction. I forgot who they hired. Nathan Hackett from Green Bay. Like, they knew that already. Right. And, like, I was talking to Mayo, and that's what he said to me. He's like, I went on the interviews, but, like, I knew they already had their guy. And, like, that happens all the time. That's know what I mean? But
and you got to do it.
You can't turn it down. But me and I was talking to a bunch of the guys in the group chat, and we were talking about it. Like, the reality is everybody's like, well, how do you fix it? That's a hard question. How do we fix somebody's heart? You can't, like, how do we tell this guy, like, hey, you own this team, but we don't want you to pick some. We want to pick the guy for you. So now you're telling me, like, imagine you own something and you got to hire the person that's going to run it. Are you going to hire someone that doesn't look like you, talk like you, act like you, where you're from? That's going to be hard for you to do. And now we asking, especially these guys are old white men who grew up in times where black folks weren't seen as equal. Right. Like, they didn't view, like, you know what I mean? And I remember going...
3/5 of a man.
Yeah, like, we a couple years ago when guys were taking knees and we took a knee, they had a meeting with a few of the owners and some players. There's some owners, they're not coming to that meeting because to them, they're like the Jerry Joneses of the world. Yeah. And Bob McNair, before he passed away, he's a Houston Texans owner. Sit at a table with a bunch of black players that I pay. Yeah. They're like, why would I do that? Yeah. They don't deserve to sit around the table with me. You know what I mean? So that's what we're talking about changing. We're basically look at every, Fortune 500 company, go to their webpage and see what the CEO looks like, the president. They don't look like us. Right. So, like, you know what I mean? I know the NFL is, they're going to get all the press right now because they should. NFL always talks about leading the charge of change. Like, it's time to do that. And it's not just coaches. It's GMs, but it's also the business side of football. Like, the president, the marketing side. Like, you go, like, those front offices and you go in those buildings that have nothing to do with football and you walk around, you might see 3 black people in the whole office. You don't see black folks over there.
Crazy. That's true. Because when I went to the stadium
you don't
during
see
the daytime,
folks.
it wasn't.
You don't see black folks there, and that's every team.
The only people I saw was like whatever players that was there to sign whatever.
That's just how it is. Because it's America. That's how America is.
It's a sad,
but how do we?
It's a sad situation. And then I was watching First Take. I forget. I know it was Marcus Spears on there, Stephen A, and then somebody else that was talking about it. I can't.
Ryan Clark, maybe.
I can't exactly. I don't think it was Ryan, but he was like, you got to change. You can't change their mind. You got to change their heart. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to go out with them and show them. Right. So they can see these things, even like, because if you tell them, they're not going to do it. They can't feel it. You know what I'm saying? So you got to kind of change their heart. Like you said, you know what I'm saying? He was saying the same thing. Like, you got to kind of show them. Like,
but what can be done to change things, though?
Like, bring them into certain situations so they can see where you're coming from. You know what I'm saying? And see what's going on.
Like we talked about earlier, like, for example, like with Kraft, he took the time to go and meet Meek. And meeting Meek, that was the first person he ever met that's actually been incarcerated. And it changed his perspective on so much that we could talk on later, like even how it brought back to him helping people out in Boston.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
and I
so
think,
you're right. Like you have to change their heart and change their mind.
And I think one of the key things too is, I think as a community, like we gotta, and you see it more and more now, we gotta build up our kids to be versatile and do different things. Like one of my boys from college started his own NFT line, TribeX. Right. And like the focus of it is to teach young black and brown kids about Web 3.0, NFTs. Like he was like, think about all this stuff, crypto, Web T. He was like NFTs. He was like, all that stuff comes out, and the black community guys like, I don't know what that is. He was like, those are the things, like those are the new cutting edge things, and in 15, 20 years, that's how the world might work. And he was like we can't be left behind. I think that's why you start, like him. If his company takes off, now we got a company that's at the top of the charts that is owned by a black person. So, I think, football's hard because I think if we had ownership of a team, now you start to see what that looks like to employ people that look like you, that talk like you. But to get ownership, all 31 other teams need to agree that you're allowed to buy the team. Are they going to allow that? No. You know what I mean? So
and that's crazy.
And I think it's hard too because like even when you get to know people, like I think oftentimes you guys have heard people say this, like, they're different than you. Like I've had people say that to me. You're black, but they're different. And I think that is the mindset of people. Like, all right, like I can meet a good black person, but the majority of them, you know what I mean?
Good.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's the thing that we have to change. And I think you've seen that now with more education of what it looks like for some kids to grow up. Like some people don't understand, like when a kid's messing up in school, like what breakfast looks like. And then people be like, well, that's their parents' fault. All right, well, let me tell you their story. And people don't understand that because for a lot of people, like we were talking about when you kick your kids out, for a lot of people, their kids go through high school, they go through college, and then they call up their college buddy and say, hey, Ro needs a job. Right. Can she intern for you this summer? And then they hire you. And now out of nowhere, you started a career in corporate America that started when you were born. Right. Like they already knew this plan when you were born. Right. And here we are, very like true. How I grew up, I was like, man, I got to make it in football because like, I know if I can play football, I'll go to college for free. And then if the NFL doesn't work, I know that I have a shot just because me and my brother was the first people that went to college and graduated college. Like I didn't know anybody that went and graduated college, but I knew like football could be a path to do that. And I think for so long, like college wasn't in a thing for black and brown people. And now once it is, now you look up and it's like, man, having a college degree, not even the best thing to have anymore. Nope. And it's like, well, damn, we just got caught up to this. And there's nonprofits that help us go to school.
Now that's minimized.
Exactly.
Because, so many black people graduating now that's minimized.
So now we fall behind in that.
But it's how too, though, right? Like even for us, if I get myself out of a situation, right, and where I didn't know, product of my environment, I didn't know any better. I got myself out that situation. Now I know better, right? Retrain my thinking, everything. I'm living a different life. But it's also for me, I feel like it's my duty to go back and grab and bring on. Right. You know what I mean? And sometimes we always be like, oh, these people don't, you can't dwell on. Sometimes people ain't ready, right? And that's whether the street life, that's whether the crack addiction, whatever it is. Like some people are just not ready. But you can't focus on that. You got to let them be and come back later.
Yeah, try to meet them where they're at.
I'm caught up in this fast life. Every morning night I pray.